In this conversation, we're going to be looking at the things of Jesus. How do we discover the life and grace and truth and peace and joy and hope that God says that he brings? And in these first couple of episodes of the conversation, we're going to lay down some foundation stones, some kind of bedrock principles that we'll build on then for the rest of the conversation. So don't bypass these. And in this first episode, there's going to be 3 really quick universal truths which we're going to build on. The first is... I meant to write something on that. The first is the inadequacy of intention. It doesn't matter how much you intend to do something, that something isn't going to get done unless you actually do something about it. I've got this tap that's been dripping in our kitchen for weeks. And in my mind, I've blocked off bits in my diary. I've scheduled time to do it. I've bought some in fact, I have bought some bits to help me. So I've got the tools out a couple of times. But the tap is still dripping because even though I've intended to spend a lot of Saturdays working on that tap, I've never actually got round to it. Intention is inadequate. I once limped a marathon for charity, and because of the cause that I was running for, I was driven to do more than just intend to run it. I got out and I researched how to train, and I listened to some seasoned runners, and I made a couple of purchases. I changed my routine, I changed my eating habits, I went out on a training run, and that meant I was able to limp all the way to the end line. There's no way I would have been able to done that if that had just rested with intention. Intention is inadequate. Point number 2 is this, that frustration corrodes positivity. Maybe you know of a feedback loop. You're in a feedback loop hundreds of times during a day. The first one is probably you get in the shower in the morning, you jump in, you turn on the water, and it's freezing cold, and so your body gives you this sensation like, oh my goodness, that's too cold. So you reach up to the dial and you crank it, and then, wow, that's scalding hot, I can't even reach the dial now without the water burning me. So you have this feedback loop, and because of the feedback that your body or your mind gets, you then change what you're doing. This feedback loop might be, I don't know, the dinner needs a little bit of extra magic, so you put some chili in. It might be that there's a new route to work that you take, and the feedback is in the form of your boss explaining that you can't arrive half an hour late again, and so you change your route the second time. You have these feedback loops in friendships and relationships too. Sometimes you start off with a relationship or a friendship, and it feels like this is going to be, you've met your soulmate, you're going to be best friends forever. This group of people is going to be your gang. And over time, maybe you realise this is one-way traffic. I'm not receiving anything here. I just feel like I'm giving to people and I'm not getting anything back in return. And the frustration will always corrode the positivity that you felt. Point number 3, universal truth is this. Waking up is difficult. Any teenager will tell you that. It's disorienting. Sometimes you wake up and it just takes you some time to realise, where am I, what is around me, and how do I fit into this place and to this space. And sometimes there are moments in life where it feels like you're waking up to a new reality. Maybe the answers that you were given as a kid or as a university student, they don't fit anymore. Maybe the way of understanding the universe that your family had, it doesn't feel like the comfortable pair of slippers that it used to. Maybe the way that you understand relationships or money or politics is changing, and it feels like I'm waking up somehow to what I think is a better world, but I don't quite know how to reach into it, and it feels lonely and disorienting. Maybe you wouldn't call it waking up. Maybe you would say that your worldview is being deconstructed. Maybe you placed trust in something or some system or someone or some God, and that has been deconstructed by life events. So, if you have ever intended to focus on your soul, to invest in your spirit, to spend time discovering and becoming familiar with the presence of God, but you've never managed to turn that intention into action, we're going to learn together how to do that over the course of this conversation. If you have ever felt like the positivity that you used to have towards God, or towards kindness, or towards love, or towards the church, or towards me, or towards your faith, or towards life in general, has been corroded by frustration, then stick with this conversation, because we're going to try and discover the life-giving joy of peace. If you feel like you're waking up, if you feel like there is a more expansive faith out there somewhere, if you feel like life could be painted in more colours, if you feel like there could be more seats at the table, but you're not quite sure how to navigate this new reality, then stick with this conversation too, because we're going to try and dive into faith and hope and love and joy and peace actually, not intentions, in a way that isn't corroded by frustration, and in a way that feels joyful.